afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to another episode of the Destroy the Stumps podcast. All right, first guest of the year, actual guest on the podcast. We've had three people come on the live stream this year. I don't know if you count them as guests, but now we have our official guest, the first person of the year, Aaron Obleo. You might have seen this guy from previous episodes. One of my good mates, known him for a long time, worked together, went to a couple of his matches, talk outside of work, got me into mixed martial arts as well, even though I hardly attend. But yeah, he got me into it. Aaron's been pretty busy the last year, since the last time we talked. He had a couple of fights after that, and he's now shifting to kickboxing or Muay Thai, if I'm not wrong, Aaron. And yeah, he's trying a different path now. I'm still on the martial arts, but on a different path. Aaron, thank you very much for joining the podcast, and hope you're doing well.
Oh, good. Thanks for having me. How you guys going?
Life, man. It's just busy. Crazy start. It's already been 1 month in 2025. Time flies.
Yeah, definitely, man. We were at 2024 at one stage, and then suddenly we're in 2025 now. Wow, like it's been so quick, and I can't even keep up at the moment. But time goes really quick, and we just gotta make the best out of it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Great to have you on the show, man. And yeah, just Aaron, if you can give us the rundown, man. What's been happening with you? You're on a new career path now. No more boxing. You're on to Muay Thai or kickboxing. What are you doing actually right now?
Yeah, so I'm heading more into MMA now. So, trying to obviously I'm doing kickboxing at the moment, and I'm trying to dabble into grappling more too. Improve my wrestling and my jiu-jitsu. So, yeah, man, it's a completely different world. But then, it's very hard for someone who's like, I guess, like just as a beginner. But yeah, man, I think for you to thrive in this kind of sport, you need to really have the passion for it. Wrestling and jiu-jitsu itself, they're both different sports, but they all go hand in hand. And then grappling in general is way different than striking. So yeah, man, it's like giving my muscles something new to learn. So yeah, man.
Yeah, nah, absolutely. So you're doing wrestling as well, like jiu-jitsu and wrestling as
Yeah,
well. Goodness
yeah.
gracious, that's a lot of work. And how many hours of training do you put in when you're fit and all? How many hours do you put in a week?
So normally, oh man, I'd say probably between maybe 20 hours, I guess, every week. Because if normally I would have to be training mornings and nights. That's all the sessions that I do, including my runs, my lifts, and then the classes on top of that, and the sparring. So yeah, I'd say more or less 20, 25 hours a week.
Yeah, 'cause that's
Not
about
not really not really sure. Like on average per day, I would have to have um like 2 to 3 hours, I guess, in a day. So yeah, I have to do 2 sessions a
yeah, it's
day.
about 21 hours. If 2 to 3, it's about 21 to what do you say? 14 to 21 hours. That's a
Yeah.
good portion of your week.
And trust me when I say this, man, MMA is so different, man. Like it's a very lonely sport. Like combat sports in general are lonely, but I feel like MMA is even more lonely compared to boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, because you'd have to manage all your training schedule on your own. Not everyone that you train with will be doing wrestling, jiu-jitsu, kickboxing. you'll be training with several different people in each of their own disciplines. So yeah, man, I'm trying to manage it all, see what works out best. And yeah, man, hopefully by the end of this year, I get MMA competition, like a pancration, and see where that takes me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I wish you all the best with that. And just also that point that you mentioned about the sport being a bit lonely. If you don't mind, just for the viewers and just for my own understanding, what do you mean by like the sport is a bit lonely? MMA is a bit more lonely.
Yeah, you'd have to do a lot of the sessions on your own. So, and not everyone will understand um, like what you're going through and what sort of training routines you're doing. A lot of these things you gotta figure out for yourself. Obviously, you've got your trainers, you've got your training partners, um, but then again, there's only a few of them who will be doing the same sessions with you. So for MMA, let's say probably 1 out of 10 combat sports people will be doing MMA. So, out of 50, there'll be 5 people doing MMA. So it's gonna be a very small circle compared to the other sports like jiu-jitsu, wrestling, kickboxing, boxing. Boxing's the most popular one out of all the sport because it's the easiest one to learn.
Oh yeah,
MMA is for MMA, like this is where the difference in styles begin. For kickboxing, all these other different disciplines, you become a specialist, right? Specialist in boxing, specialist in kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, whatever. But in MMA, that's when your mentality shifts, becomes more of a generalist. So that means you're um you're good everywhere, but not particularly like an A class in everywhere. You need just the basics, just to know enough about each of the other disciplines to be able to mix them up.
right. I see. I
So it's
see.
kind of like majoring in like in uni, or specialize in this, specialize in that, but then
Mm,
MMA more general of everything.
I see. I see. Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. Just also, and also, you did mention just before the start of the podcast that you are dealing with an injury. How did that occur, and like, what's the time frame for the recovery?
Yeah, man, it's funny thing, man. They say wrestling is the hardest sport, and it is the hardest sport. A lot of injuries come from wrestling, and funnily enough, that's where my injury came from. Now, I was rolling around with a heavier dude, and he was trying to take me down. My right leg got caught in the takedown, and then I fell awkwardly, and it you know, just ruined my ankle for the time being. But yeah, man, I've been seeing my physio, just rehabbing and work strengthening all parts of my legs, and hopefully recovery time will be another 4 weeks time before I can fully grapple again. But striking wise, I've been doing fine. Like I'm still striking, so yeah, recovery is just around the corner.
Okay, that's good to hear, man. I wish you all the best with that. And yeah, wrestling. Yeah, definitely can't. But like, you can get injured in any of the mixed martial arts disciplines or sport, whatever sport it is. But yeah, wrestling, you're right. Especially when you have to crouch down, you're dealing with someone who's a bit heavier. Maybe if there's a bit of, it's a bit hard sometimes to grip someone because of the intensity of the wrestling, the duel, and all that. And just like if you get your foot in the wrong position, especially if it gets caught in the mat, then yeah, things can really happen.
Yeah,
It just really, yeah, you make a good point there. There was times when I was doing jujitsu, I almost broke my ankle. I was really close. I've seen a few guys break their ankle at my jujitsu gym as well. Yeah, one guy broke his ankle right in front of me. He landed really awkwardly. He was on crutches for a couple of weeks due to that injury.
Oh,
Yeah,
jeez.
definitely. Like, yeah, tells you about the importance of technique in sports. Instead of just being, just going on instinct, technique's really important to prevent injuries and all that,
Yeah,
and also strength and
100%,
conditioning.
man.
And also strength and conditioning, and
That's
just like
right.
keeping your legs strong. Legs are a very important part as well. People say like your hands and that are important. Of course they are, but just keeping your legs strong as well. Giving yourself a strong base is really important in mixed martial arts.
I agree 100%. If you're an athlete, your priority number one should be legs. It comes like any type of sport, like basketball, football, they all train legs. And then when you dabble into combat sports, you even dabble in more legs. In fact, when I was boxing, I was doing a lot more legs than arms. Like, even though the sport is about punches, I'm doing a lot more legs. So yeah, man, it's it's an interesting point of view, man. But yeah, it's a fact.
It's kind of like when people go to the gym to build a physique, but they do their upper body, their chest, their back, they do their the biceps, the forearms, wrists, all that stuff. I mean, the arms, whatever. But they seem to forget the base, the legs. They're like, don't skip. It's all the old saying with the gym, right? When you go to the gym, don't skip leg day.
Yeah.
And even though it's
There you
painful,
go,
but
man.
don't skip it.
100%, man. A lot of people train for physique, but then, you know, that's where the athletes and the bodybuilders have the change in their training routines, in their mentality. So, yeah, man, it's very fascinating to learn all these things.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And also just with the fights, because probably got about 5 minutes left. Just with your fights. So once the recovery is up, which competition are you trying to plan on entering?
So, next competition, it's gonna be kickboxing or a kick light. It's gonna be in the ring, so I'm hopefully once my injury heals up, that'll be our first to go, and then after that, I'll be delving more into jiu-jitsu comps, wrestling comps, pancration comps to get my grappling up there.
What was the last competition you meant? Pancreate. What's if you would like to elaborate? What type of competition is that?
So it's called pancration. Pancration comes from Greece from a very long time ago. It was their ancient MMA type of competition where there's striking and grappling combined, but there's no strikes to the head, so you can't punch to the head, and no ground and pound. So as soon as you take someone down, or if the fight goes down to the ground, either go for the submission, um, or just let it stand up again. But there's no strikes to the head.
Okay,
So it's more of a sport, I guess, that favors grapplers more, and it's an introduction for them to get into MMA.
right. I see. Yeah, that's interesting. And I like it. Kind of that point you make. There's all these forms of wrestling and striking and boxing. Like you got the modern day mixed martial arts, but all these
Yeah,
countries, like even countries like Brazil, parts of Asia, Europe, other South American countries, African countries, they have their own like local style of fighting. So, like in India,
yeah,
you got kabaddi and the mud wrestling over there. Greece, what you mentioned in Greece, Brazil, they have their own Brazilian style of
pancration. Yeah,
jiu-jitsu. All these
Brazil,
countries.
yeah, they've got jiu-jitsu and shuto boxing, so it's kind of like striking, like, and then you add a wrestling on top of it. It's interesting. Senegal, they've got Senegalese wrestling where they wrestle on the sand. So yeah, man, it's wow.
It's interesting how like all these things have been going on for ages, but now we've got the mixed martial arts version, like the modern day mixed martial arts. But everyone's got their own style. All the different cultures and countries in the world have their own style that they've had for a while, and implement it in
Yeah,
like if they go international or if they go to the big competition, global competitions, they can use that on the big stage. Yeah, very interesting how like this is a Greek competition. Not many people probably have heard of it. Well, most casual people like me probably haven't heard of it. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
uh,
It's
yeah, that's really interesting. I'd like to look into that more. Yeah, and also just do you miss boxing much? Just doing boxing by itself, or you're more happy with just doing the mixed martial art?
oh yeah, of course. In my mind, I think I'm at peace with that, with what I've done with boxing, because currently I don't really have time to go back into it. If I go back into boxing, only it'll change my style again. And I don't really, I'm more of a kickboxer now, as my style. Um, but I know, like, if I ever go back to boxing, there's some unfinished business there, which is the title shot. I was meant to go for a state title at least, for my fifth boxing fight. So yeah, man, like that ever comes up, that will be the first thing that I will go into.
Okay, now I understand with that one. Yeah, that's it's going to be good if we watch that fight. Hopefully, yeah, win the title.
Yeah.
But yeah, you reckon? Also, just
Uh,
one more question before we do end the show. Just with boxing, just doing boxing individually, and then doing mixed martial art.
yeah.
Which one would be like as a competition? Which one's more like there's more to like? Which one you reckon's more beneficial? Terms of competition and also just more rewarding, like you could say financially as well, or like competition wise, or just more reputation and all that. Which one you'd say?
I'd say the most popularity you'll get is through boxing, but as a real martial artist and accomplishment, you get more from doing MMA.
Okay.
Like you know, MMA compared to boxing is not that popular. It is like on par right now, but feel boxing there's more opportunities there.
Okay.
Sponsor wise, and not many people understand any MMA anyway, and it's only just the UFC that brought it up and made it very popular. So at this stage, yeah, man, hopefully in the next few years, a lot more people watch MMA and bring more eyes to the sport. So yeah,
Yeah, and just also just a little briefly on that, I reckon. Yeah, so like this is the experience you've had at Australian state level at the moment, just from the beginning stages of your career. This is what you've seen early on in your career. This is what you've seen the difference between the boxing and MMA. This is what you've seen from your experience.
yeah, definitely. All the boxers, they have all these prestigious, like all these opportunities, but MMA, when you measure it all up, at the end of the day, an MMA guy will always beat the boxer. So that's the way I look at it. There's just no question, man. Like
Fair enough. Yeah.
MMA, you'll be at the epitome of martial arts. Like you know everything. Whereas boxing, you're good. Like you're a great boxer, but that's all you can do. So it goes
Uh,
back down to what I've said before, which was the generalist or the specialist.
right.
So yeah, man.
Absolutely. Anyways, man, thank you very much for tuning in, everybody. Thank you, Aaron, for your time. I really do appreciate it. First guest of the year. It's a privilege to have you on the show. Thanks for everybody, and have a good time wherever you are in the world. And join us for the next episode whenever it pops up.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. Thanks again for that, Neil.